Hello, this is John, welcoming you to the 2042nd edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline, St Patrick's Day, the 17th of March 2016. The readers this week are Darren, Alexander, Romany and me, John, with Colin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include I Still Back Scheme, Boris tells Burrows, Plug pulled on children's unit, and heating repairs fail to thaw out tower issues. First of all, the special news items this week are: there will be no talking newspaper next week due to the Easter holidays. We're sorry about that. The bank holiday on Good Friday means we are unable to access Community House, where we produce and distribute your tapes and memory sticks. Our next edition will be Dateline, Thursday the 31st of March. Please note that Enfield Vision has moved premises. They are now based at Community House, 311 4 Street, Edmonton, N90PZ. Telephone number 020-8373-6260. Would you like your friends and family to have a better understanding of your eye condition and have more confidence guiding you? Do you have a friend or family member who is blind or partially sighted? Would you like to have a greater understanding of their eye condition and the techniques to guide them effectively? If so, our My Guide friends and family training can help. We can provide free, bespoke training for friends and family members tailored specifically to your needs. The training is part of the My Guide service provided by Guide Dogs and consists of a basic introduction to vision impairment awareness and sighted guiding techniques. It can be carried out in your home or with a group of other people with sight loss and their friends and family, To discuss friends and family training or any other ways that My Guide service can help you or someone you know, please call 0845 372 7499. I'll just repeat that number. 0845 372 7499, or email myguide@guidedogs.org.uk. myguide@guidedogs.org.uk. Now Darren will read the first item of local news.
The Mayor of London has rejected an MP's appeal to step in and stall Mini Holland. David Burrows, MP for Enfield Southgate, wrote to Boris Johnson last month asking him to halt funding for the plans to create partially segregated cycle lanes along green lanes from Palmer's Green to Enfield Town. Mr Burrows argued that money should not be given to Enfield Council by Transport for London until the local authority carried out further consultation with local residents over the scheme. Initially, Mr Johnson appeared to agree with Mr Burrows, saying that more engagement was needed before Cycle Enfield could proceed. However, in a letter to the MP from the Mayor, dated March 8th, he says that the planned statutory consultation that will accompany the detailed proposals, which will be put before the public later this year, meets the need for further engagement. In a paragraph that will please council chiefs, the Mayor adds, "I do not wish to see the scheme cancelled. The council has followed all the correct procedures, and TfL's legal advice is that there is no basis for refusing to release funding." He finishes by telling Mr Burrows that he hopes the consultation process that will come with the detailed proposals would allay your concerns. Undeterred and adamant that his stance represents the majority of his constituents, Mr Burrows told this paper, "The Mayor, TfL and the Council do not have broad public approval for Cycle Enfield. It does not make sense to press ahead with the A105 scheme while engaging further with the Enfield Town Scheme. I will continue to press for the voice of most of my constituents to be heard. I look forward to working with Zach Goldsmith as a new Conservative Mayor who accepts the need for public consent for Cycle Enfield.
Sick children are set to lose their dedicated assessment unit at Chase Farm Hospital after the commissioning group announced it was pulling funding. At a meeting of Enfield Council Health Scrutiny Panel last week, Dr. Mo Abidi, the chairman of Enfield's Clinical Commissioning Group, presented the findings of a review which revealed that only 2 patients a day were making use of the £409,000 a year paediatric assessment unit at the hospital, in the Ridgeway, Enfield. The facility is part of Chase Farm's Urgent Care Centre and deals specifically with children who are suffering from illnesses including unexplained fevers, head injuries and suspected broken bones. The unit was part of the primary care package which was put in place in the wake of the closure of Chase Farm A&E in 2013. Alev Kazimoglu, the council's cabinet member for adult health and social care, admitted she was surprised that the first she heard of the closure was at last week's meeting. She told the Advertiser, "The commissioning group is incredibly financially challenged. This latest closure is what austerity looks like." However, Enfield North MP Joan Ryan is furious about the closure, coming as it does amid rising concerns about the pressures facing the borough's only A&E unit at North Middlesex University Hospital in Edmonton. "This is part of an attempt to close Chase Farm Hospital by stealth," she said. "Without the unit, where are parents going to go with their children if they are worried about their well-being? They will go to North Middlesex A&E, where they will have to wait for hours to be seen, if at all." A spokeswoman from the CCG told the Advertiser that the planned changes were down to lower than expected demand for service. She added that the unit would be replaced by access to paediatric consultant appointments. "We are developing our engagement and consultation plan and will shortly be inviting Enfield residents to feedback on this proposal," she said. A spokeswoman from the Royal Free London NHS Foundation Trust, which runs Chase Farm, said it was waiting for the outcome of this consultation.
A man who was temporarily forced to move out of home has criticised the council's maintenance staff. Noah Lariba of Merlin House, Ponders End, has called out workmen from Enfield Council 5 times in a year to sort out the property's heating. He claims the situation became so bad at one point, he was forced to move back in with his mother. The block of flats on the Alma estate has been earmarked for redevelopment, but Mr. Lariba said that the council needs to fix the building now, even if they want to demolish it. Mr. Lariba, who has been forced to wear a hat, coat and boots in his own home to stay warm, said, "It might be called Merlin House, but there is nothing magic about it at all. They are trying to maximise profits with minimal responsibility. We are paying for services and not getting them." Ever since he first called the council out to fix his heating in March 2015, Mr. Lariba says the heating has always been working for a maximum of 2 weeks before breaking again. He has also had to call the council to fix significant leaks in his kitchen, as well as on 5 occasions for the broken heating. Mr. Lariba, who has lived in Ponders End since January 2012, says he has been unimpressed by the repairmen sent by the council. He said, "When people they just painted over it. It makes me feel unsafe living here. I would say to the councillors, come and spend a night here, see how you like it. They would soon fix the heating for good. Heating is on for 2 weeks at most, then it goes off again. I just want somewhere to live that isn't cold." Other residents have expressed concerns over the maintenance. Mr. Lariba said there are pensioners who are not getting heating or hot water in the building. Another resident, who wished to remain anonymous, said, "Whenever an engineer comes, they say they cannot fix it. They just give it up and pass the job on to someone else." The Council's Cabinet Member for Housing and Housing Regeneration, Councillor Ahmet Oykana, said that Enfield Council is in the process of redeveloping the entire Alma estate to significantly improve the quality of the housing on the site and residents' quality of life, and the project will contribute towards the wider regeneration of Ponders End. We are aware that there have been a number of problems with the pipework at Merlin House, and we would like to apologise to the residents for the disruption this has caused. However, whilst we understand residents' frustration, in every case these faults have been fixed within a day of being reported. As well as carrying out repairs to specific faults to ensure these problems do not persist in the future, we have carried out extensive work to upgrade and repair pipework, heat exchangers and boilers on the Alma estate to make sure the heating systems there are more efficient.
A former mayoress of Enfield and long-serving councillor, described as very dedicated with a zest for life, has died after a battle with cancer. Patricia Dawson, who was first elected as councillor for Oakwood in 1982, lost her fight on March the 6th at the North London Hospice in Finchley at the age of 81. She became mayoress in 1989 and served with Enfield Council until she retired in 1998, returning as consort to the deputy mayor in 2009. Terry Neville, leader of the Conservatives in the council, said she was everything people could want as a ward councillor. He said, "I knew her well. She was always championing issues for her ward. She was very dedicated and would fight hard for all her constituents. She will be missed." Ms Dawson, known to friends as Patty, was diagnosed ovarian cancer in 2012, which, according to her family, had ferociously spread to other parts of her body. She is survived by 2 sons, Simon, 52, and Glenn, 47, and 4 grandchildren. Simon said she had been at the hospice since February and said she was quite a fighter. He said, "She was like the Energizer Bunny. She was always making the effort to get somewhere and to see people. She was a real credit to our family. We are very proud of her. She did it all pretty much on her own. She was not wealthy." She married Colin Dawson on May the 31st, 1958. He served as an Enfield councillor until 1975, when he also died of cancer. A 40-year-old housewife at the time, with 2 children aged 11 and 7, her son Glenn said she was a fish out of water. However, she started her career in Enfield, picking up from her late husband in Oakwood, says Glenn, in order to get involved in the community. He said, her biggest thrill was meeting people. She just loved talking and socialising. She was very positive, with a real zest for life. She never complained about her situation. She just loved to laugh. She was also very generous with her time. She just wanted to care for her borough. As well as her political career, Ms Dawson also served as a governor at St Anne's School in Palmer's Green.
Film-mad primary school students have been nominated for a national award. Honeylands Primary School in Enfield has been shortlisted for the 2016 Interfilm Awards in the Film Club of the Year 12 and Under category. Interfilm, a UK-wide organisation supported by the BFI, awards young people who have demonstrated exceptional achievements in filmmaking or reviewing, and to educators who have demonstrated inspirational use of film in classes. Winners of the 2016 awards have been decided by a judging panel made up of well-known figures from the worlds of film and education. These include Michael Sheen, Naomi Harris, director Tom Hooper, Peter Lord of Aardman Animations, and Christine Langan, head of BBC Films. Honeylands Club has been running for over 2.5 years and attracts 19 regular film lovers each week to enjoy a diverse range of cinema and talk about relevant themes. Teacher Mario Lopez Goicoechea said, "Every Monday we hold a screening, and on Tuesday the members write their online reviews for the Interfilm website. The nomination means a great deal. The club's ethos has always been about enjoying cinema as a whole, not just watching a film. And as a school, we feel validated for taking this approach. Our children deserve the nomination because they have been the driving force since the club started and are at the heart of everything we do at Honeylands. The scheme allows schools to use a catalogue of around 3,000 films to show pupils. High-profile sponsors such as MGM and Sony Pictures are backing the awards. The winners were announced on Tuesday at the Odeon Leicester Square after the Independent went to press.
The battle for green lanes goes on after a campaign group calling for a halt to cycling infrastructure plans published an open letter against the scheme this week. The Save Our Green Lanes group, headed by businessman Costas Georgiou and Helen Osman, the founder of N21 Online, have sent this paper a 5-page letter dissecting claims made in a letter from the Enfield cycling campaign to Mayor of London Boris Johnson that the introduction of partially segregated cycle lanes would boost the economy of the borough. The Save Our Green Lanes team write, "If there was any credible evidence of such schemes boosting the local economy, would shopkeepers not be champing at the bit to see it implemented? In reality, there is no data to suggest any such impact, and even the council's own commissioned economic evaluation report concludes this. They argue that taking away some on-street parking spaces and the ability to park on single yellow lines on the weekends and at night will negatively affect the nighttime economy of green lanes, with restaurants and takeaways likely to lose customers if people are forced to park either a few streets away or in a car park." Last week, a policy officer at City Hall replied to the letter pro-cycle campaigners wrote to Mr Johnson and his cycling czar Andrew Gilligan. William Bradbury, the policy officer for transport for the Greater London Authority, said, "I can confirm that neither the Mayor nor TfL intend to withhold any funds from Enfield Council. We continue to work closely with the Council to progress the wide range of exciting schemes that make up the full cycle Enfield programme." This position was also made clear to David Burrows MP in a recent letter.
The two Enfield-based ringleaders of the £14 million Hatton Garden jewellery heist, Daniel Jones and Terry Perkins, have been handed jail sentences totalling 14 years. Hugh Doyle, 49, of Riverside Gardens, Enfield, escaped a prison term when he was handed a suspended sentence. Sentencing the key players behind the heist, Judge Christopher Kinch QC told Woolwich Crown Court last week the burglary of the Hatton Gardens Safe Deposit Company in April 2015 has been labelled by many as the biggest burglary in English legal history. It is clear that the burglary at the heart of this case stands in a class of its own in the scale of ambition, the detail of planning, the level of preparation, the organising of the team to carry it out, and in terms of the value of the property stolen. As family and friends looked down on the 6 men in the dock from a packed public gallery, the judge described Jones, 60, of Park Avenue, Bush Hill Park, as a ringleader at the heart of the extensive planning and regular meetings both before and after the Easter weekend. Based on the transcripts and on your build, you appear to have been, along with Basil, the so far unidentified mastermind of the raid, one of the two who actually entered the vault area on the second night and broke open. He added that at Jones' home, police had found face masks, a drill, and cash, and the now infamous book Forensics for Dummies. Jones had pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit burglary at an earlier hearing and was sentenced to spend 7 years behind bars. Perkins, 67, of Heen Road, Enfield, was also described as a ringleader of the operation by the judge. When your home address in Enfield was searched, the police found jewellery, cash, blue overalls, 5 pairs of white fabric gloves and a quantity of euros, said the judge. Like Jones, he had entered a guilty plea at an earlier hearing and was also jailed for 7 years. Doyle was found guilty at trial of concealing, converting or transferring criminal property at trial. As he stood in the dock dressed in a navy t-shirt and trousers with the logo of his plumbing company on them, he was told by the judge, "You may have been somewhat in awe of these old-school villains." He added, "Perhaps you were flattered to be asked. It may be fortunate for you that the arrest happened. No opportunity for you to be called on to do anything more than provide a venue for the sensitive handover of a large quantity of stolen jewellery." Doyle was able to walk free after the judge sentenced him to 21 months in prison, suspended for 2 years. John Collins, 75, of Islington, North London, who was also described as a ringleader in the heist operation and had pleaded guilty at an earlier hearing to conspiracy to commit burglary, was jailed for 7 years. Carl Wood, 59, of Cheshunt, was sentenced to 6 years in prison after being found guilty of conspiracy to burgle. Brian Reeder from Dartford, Kent, another of the heist's ringleaders, was not at court for sentencing last Wednesday after illness prevented him from attending. William Lincoln, 60, of Bethnal Green, East London, was jailed for 7 years after being found guilty of conspiracy to burgle and for 7 years or conspiracy to conceal, convert or transfer criminal property. The sentences to run concurrently. As the sentences were handed down, each man said, "Thank you, sir."
A concert blending opera and rock is being held to raise money for one of Enfield's most historic manor houses. Tickets are on sale for Benjamin Bloom's Last Man on Earth, with a special one-off performance being held at Millfield Theatre on April the 2nd. The concert will see live rock and pop combined with the singing of young opera star Lindsay McFarlane, joining composer and pianist Benjamin Bloom. Hugo Myatt, best known from 1980's TV show Nightmare, will narrate the story. All ticket sales go to the Friends of Forty Hall to improve the Forty Hall estate and Millfield Arts Centre gardens. Joanne Brown, Events and Volunteers Coordinator for the Friends of Forty Hall and Estate, said, "This acclaimed show is a highly original telling of an epic story of how the world went mad through greed and how an unlikely hero steps in to save it. We are particularly keen to encourage more bees to our gardens with attractive planting that will ensure their future and that of our plants." Grade 1 listed manor house Forty Hall was built in 1620 and is currently used as a museum. Tickets for the show can be booked by calling 020 8807 6680 or online at www.millfieldartscentre.co.uk.
A trainee doctor said she is astonished by the government's attitude as another strike lasting 48 hours began. Sarah Tayabali, who organised the first wave of strikes at North Middlesex Hospital as BMA representative, said she had lost any remaining confidence in Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt after his decision last month to impose new contracts on doctors by August. Thursday saw the start of the first of 3 48-hour strikes. The next are planned to start on April the 6th and 26th. Dr. Tayabali said she had joined the picket lines this morning after working a night shift at the hospital. She said, "The government still have not really listened to our concerns over the safety of the contracts. They are not fair and not safe. I'm astonished they are imposing contracts that they know the doctors have no confidence in, which says it all about the value they put on healthcare staff. It has left me really worried. I do not know what will happen come August. I should be applying for the next level of my training, but I and a number of doctors have chosen not to, and are taking an enforced career break. It has created a lot of uncertainty." She said senior doctors and consultants have been supportive of the strikes, and that they understand their difficult position. Ms. Tayabali said while she wanted negotiations to continue rather than more strikes, it was too difficult to predict the outcome. In a statement, the Department of Health said, "Patients have so far seen more than 19,000 operations cancelled as a result of the BMA's irresponsible and unjustified industrial action. The new contract, 90% of which was agreed with the BMA, and endorsed by senior NHS leaders, is a very good deal for doctors and the NHS. It will mean an average 13.5% basic pay rise, with a cap on the number of long shifts worked to improve safety. We urge junior doctors to look at the detail of the contract and the clear benefit it brings.
3 women and 2 children were rescued by firefighters from a burning building in Edmonton last Wednesday. More than 20 firefighters battled the blaze in a block of flats in 4th Street. A woman and her 2 children and 2 other women were all led to safety by fire crews who battled the flames in the 9-storey building for more than an hour. The fire brigade was called to the scene at 12:45 p.m. and the fire was brought under control by 2:09 p.m. The electrical cupboard on the ground floor was damaged in the blaze and the fire caused a power failure in the block of flats. The women and children suffered from smoke inhalation and were treated at the scene by the London Ambulance Service. The fire came just 2 weeks after Enfield Council chiefs pledged their commitment to fire safety in communal blocks of flats after the Advertiser revealed that there had been 18 flat fires in the borough in the 12 months up to the end of January this year.
A man has been charged with almost 30 historic allegations of sexual assault at children's care homes. Phillip Temple, 66, of no fixed address, is accused of 27 offences of sexual assault against 12 children and 2 counts of perjury. The offences are alleged to have taken place between 1971 and 1998 in children's care homes managed by the former Christ the King Monastery in Bramley Road, Southgate, Wandsworth Council and Lambeth Council. Temple was charged with the offences last Tuesday as part of the Met Police's Operation Trinity after 2 allegations of historic abuse were reported to detectives in November 2012. He was remanded in custody when he appeared at Bromley Magistrates Court until Wednesday, April 6, when he is due to appear at Croydon Crown Court.
Police are investigating a huge fire that tore through a farm in the north of the borough 2 weeks ago. The fire brigade and police were called to the blaze at Guy Lodge Farm in Whitewebbs Lane, Enfield at 2 a.m. on Tuesday, March the 1st. The flames tore through a stack of wooden pallets in the farmyard and destroyed a timber storage warehouse. It took more than 70 firefighters 4 hours to get the fire under control. 10 fire crews battled the flames, and that morning's rush hour drivers were affected by smoke and ash from the fire drifting across the M25. 2 men escaped from a caravan on the farm before the fire brigade arrived. About 35 propane gas cylinders were removed from the site. Police have yet to establish the cause of the fire and are asking anyone who saw anything suspicious or who has any information to contact Detective Sergeant Tony Mortimer or Detective Constable Martin Linton from Enfield CID on 020 8345 3311, quoting reference 5204 558/16. A 35-year-old man arrested on the same day on suspicion of arson has been released on police bail until a date early in April. Right, we've now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.